It numbs you, a nightmare, a horrible disease. These are just a few of the ways people have described mental illness in their lives. Whether it's you, your child, or a friend, mental illness impacts all of us in the same ways, and that's why the Mindspace podcast is committed to uncovering mental illness and the impact it has.
Welcome to the Mindspace show. Your host is Fahad bin Mohammed, and here with me today is the lovely Confidence. This is a lady that saved my life, amongst many things. So one of the main reasons as to why we started this show is to create as much awareness as possible on the issues concerning society. One of them, which is very crucial, is mental health. It has been underrated for so long and has gone quite unspoken of. But here we are, hopefully we shall get this message around. But before we go any further, let me let Confidence introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Fahad.
Yeah.
I'm so humbled and honored to be on this show today. And most of for saying I saved your life. I can't take that for granted.
For granted, yeah.
I give glory to God.
Amen.
So my name is Asimwe Confidence in Kurununji. I'm a counseling psychologist. I have a passion for mental health, especially addiction treatment. I've done some of this work. Fahad is one of the people I met in the journey, and I continue to do so. So I am happy to be here to talk to you.
Thank you. Yes, you saved my life. One of the reasons why I'm still alive.
All right.
And I think that's partly due to one of the cons of treatment.
Okay.
Pros, actually.
The pros, not
The pros, yeah.
Yes.
So briefly, try to explain to the public from your point of view what mental health is in general, like the aspects to deal with mental health.
Okay, mental health is a big concept which is many times misunderstood. When you talk about mental health, actually people see the negative of it. They want to look at the negativity of mental health.
Yeah.
But then there is no health without mental health. A human being is whole when they are physically healthy and mentally healthy. So mental health in that aspect is something that all of us need. And there is no one who can say they are fine when their mental health is not healthy. So for me, mental health is something that is actually misunderstood a lot, especially in my Uganda.
In a third world country.
Being third world country, yes, but the misunderstanding of the word has actually left very many people stigmatized and therefore not treated. I do not know what about you when you were coming for treatment, the time you met me, what it was for you, because you were so negative, saying that you are in the wrong place. But I'm happy to hear you saying that you would like other people to benefit from what you benefited from. Yeah. Understanding mental health and the benefits. Thank you.
Just like I walked into your doors, I think you remember how I came.
Yes, I do.
So I had a problem. I think I really had a problem. Though in that moment, it's very hard to really know that you have a problem. Yes. So what are some of these mental health problems people face? I know there's depression, there's so many things.
Yes.
What kinds of problems are out there? Because I might be talking about addiction, depression, and whatnot. Last week we had a dyslexic. I'd heard of dyslexia.
Yes.
But I'd never met someone who has dyslexia. So what are some of these problems in mental health, and do they actually have cures? Is there cure to mental health diseases and illnesses?
Okay, the common ones, like you are saying in your situation, and maybe for the viewers who are listening to us, you is because of addiction. In other words, it is induced by the use or the abuse of substances and drugs. Everyone can be a victim. Yeah. Some people are prone to it because of their heredity. But it's not sometimes until you actually provoke it.
Till you trigger it.
Yes, till you trigger it with anything like the substances, it could be the drugs, but sometimes someone can get an accident and they also end up that side.
Trauma.
But the common ones among the young people these days, it is because of the abuse of substances, drugs and substances. And the challenge is simple. They start when they are still early. They start when the brain is still developing. Yeah. So chances of a developing brain getting messed up are so high. Someone starts when they are 10 years old. Smoking, for example, you do not know when it is you started, or you remember.
I remember.
In secondary, senior 1, some people start in P7. Yeah. That is a very vulnerable brain. So when you start early, then most likely your brain will not take you to where you want it to take you properly. However, sometimes people are born predisposed. Also, at a certain point in their lives, they may get a mental health issue because of stress, extreme stress due to life situations. We are living in a very, very challenging world where you must look for money. Sometimes it's not there, but everyone doesn't know how to cope in the same way. Those who know how to cope can manage, never cross a line. But those who do not cope better, they are depressed. From normal depression, it becomes clinical depression, and they end up to the excess. So it is either you are in excess or a deficit. So learning to balance. Some people are anxious because of what is around them. But others, normally, to try and treat anxiety, you take the drugs. Even if they are prescription. Yes. You take the medicines and you cannot stop taking. So the mind is being destroyed as you continue. Others, you get an accident, that trauma on your head can give you an issue. But many times for the young people now, it is the abuse of the drugs and substances. The ones I've met.
The ones and they're the majority?
Yes, the ones I've met, in the treatment centers, especially in rehabilitation centers. We treat people who have got there because of the abuse of drugs and substances. Yes.
But the abuse is not the problem. Do you believe there are underlying conditions that lead people to using?
Yes, of course. Everyone has a reason why they started. But the challenge is you do not continue because of the same reason. If you started because of curiosity in senior 1, are you still using because of the same?
No.
Now, the challenge becomes that when you disturb your brain, it has registered a message that you cannot easily run away from. So the reasons for starting and the reasons for continuing are different. All of us can start. For example, I'm giving an example of 5 boys, all of them in senior 1, probably the same age of them, all of them are maybe as 13. Out of the 5 who start, 2 can drop off when they are in senior 2, another can drop off in senior 4, but their rest can continue until it becomes their death. So now, what does that mean? It means that some people are more vulnerable than others, and you'll never know your vulnerability until you try to disturb your brain. You will not know how your brain is until you're giving it what is not supposed to be in the brain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So therapy is the number one tool when it comes to mental health challenges.
Yeah, therapy is a tool, but there's medicine.
Yes, I understand the medicine, but we're going to get into that actually.
It's okay.
Misdiagnosing patients. But the therapy, what are the pros to therapy? What are the good things that come out of therapy?
Okay, the good things that come out of therapy, or counseling, if I may use that word. If people, maybe many people used to the word counseling, which is extremely misunderstood. Counseling is a relationship that is intended to help you, the person who has come to me, the professional, to help you cope with your challenge. Sometimes it doesn't cure it, but you learning to cope with it and live your life, it becomes a better life. So the advantages of therapy is that you're not dying alone. You talk to another person who gives you a view, a professional view to what it is you're actually very scared of. Sometimes people are scared and they die because of the scare. Do you know what it means to be so freaked out? You go in your home, you go in your room, you see nothing but death. So why are you supposed to stay alive when you're only seeing death? But when you talk to a person and they understand you, they give you hope. In therapy, there is hope. In therapy, it is treatment. It is a holistic approach to a whole human being. Because when you keep saying the therapy changed you, saved your life, I don't know. I want to understand it. Maybe you have a better answer than a person who has never been to therapy. What did it do for you?
I think it empowered me.
Okay.
Just like you said, it may not take away the problem or cure you.
Yes.
But it makes your life better. I mean, now, yes, I know I'm an addict, but I'm empowered. Yes. You get to know your triggers. You get to know that, yes, I'm not alone in this battle.
Yes.
And that's accountability of now, actually, someone is on my side. Because, most of the time when people enter treatment, they are very misunderstood.
Yes.
And I think it's not therapy, yes, saved me. It was a medium. But me, it is you, because you actually listened.
Oh.
Because actually one of the questions I had was about the misdiagnosing diagnosing of patients, especially in Uganda. Because, I mean, you go to 3 rehabs, you go to this hospital, that hospital, you're meeting this psychologist and their psychiatrist, and all these people are howling things at you.
Okay.
I mean, so just knowing that, okay, this person has told me I might become schizophrenic, this one is calling me bipolar, this one says I'm drug-induced psychosis. I mean, it reached a point where the labels, there were so many.
Okay.
And they were telling you you're going to have to be a user all your life. If you ever smoke a cigarette again, you're going to be on medication all your life. If you go further than that, you're going to run mad. And this whole time, you're already in denial. No, cannot deny, but you're very angry to be there. And these people are howling things at you so fast. It's the first, I've not even spent 10 minutes with a person. And they're already writing down. They're already diagnosing me, the borderline schizophrenic, psychosis. And you look, and I think by the time you came, if you had it calm, you know what I was going to do.
I don't know what
you don't know. But in my insanity at that time,
all right,
my temporary insanity, it's such a very, very dark place. So I really agree with you that I think therapy is empowerment.
All right. From your perspective.
From my perspective,
that
it
is
empowered
good for
me.
you.
Yeah.
So I have heard you say that there is a lot of misdiagnosing people because you go to like 3 places and everyone has given you a diagnosis. And actually, it confuses you more than organize you. Yeah. So do you know why we normally do it? Sometimes because we work on information, and information is coming from you. Yeah. And we work on the behavior we're seeing in front of us. Yeah. So when you come to me and you come, most likely I'm not going to give a diagnosis of another person you go to and you're very violent. So it is because the diagnosis normally is based on what we are hearing you say, the people who are around you and what you're saying, but also your behavior. Yeah. So when you're cooperative, maybe the diagnosis, I don't know, you became so cooperative when you were with us. And that is why maybe it was easy for us to understand you and treat you better. So misdiagnosis is because of the information we get or we don't even get. Yeah. So looking at you and I imagine from the roots of things, this guy is dirty. This thing is not happening. This must be schizophrenia. Why? Because we are following a book and you're giving us information and we must give you a treatment. We cannot just treat you without knowing what we are treating. Yeah. So I must find a diagnosis. I must find a reason to give you and your people to give you the medicine. If I'm treating psychosis, it's induced because you've taken marijuana, you've drunk alcohol, and you're psychotic. I will say this is what we are dealing with now. So when 1 week down the road, you have not taken anything, you come. The person who finds me having written that will not agree with me. But then in the moment when you came to me, that is how you presented like. And probably the treatment I gave you worked. So the misdiagnosis, I can only feel sorry for a person who gets misdiagnosed and continues taking the wrong medication because it causes a bigger and greater challenge. But then sometimes we are so patient. We first want to handle you, stabilize you, before we can even give a name to the disease you have. Yeah. That is for us how we work. Yeah. Where am I?
So, I'm blessed. I came to the best.
Okay.
But some of our colleagues have not had this opportunity of having the best treatment the country has to offer.
Okay.
So, you find one, we'll not even mention names, but you find there's a psychiatrist who moves to because first of all, we have to take into account how understaffed you people are. So you have one confidence visiting 7 institutional, you get it?
Yes.
So even the time they have to allocate to a single person is very limited. What we had was because I was paying a lot of money and you had time for me.
Okay.
Most health professionals I've noticed in this industry don't really have that time. That extra care, because I don't know whether it's monetary value or because they have seen it so much, it's now their reality. I mean, they see them in Butabika every day, they're like, anywhere. Or you're now one, or you're not one. You get it? But they forget that these are people's livelihoods we're dealing with.
Okay. I don't think it's about someone forgetting that we are dealing with life. Yeah. But like you have said, this is a profession where someone really has to be passionate about it. Imagine, put yourself in their shoes. Yeah. Now, before you really, really understand anything, is when you put yourself in the shoes of the people doing it, dealing with millions of people on a daily, sometimes being human comes before being a profession. So you can be impatient, you may get so tired, and sometimes you can get overwhelmed yourself. We also need our own treatment, by the way. As we treat you, we get also our own counseling. If I do not get it, then I cannot do the best.
That is actually a question.
Yes, I have to go and seek for my own counseling. Imagine how many people I have to deal with. By the way, remember that time I worked with you, I was only working where you found me. But right now I work at Kabale University. I'm a university counselor. How many people am I supposed to talk to? So I go for my own therapy. Professionally, each one of us has their own supervisor. I must go for therapy. Otherwise, I will burn out. Otherwise, I will not deliver. So it's not because people are really not professional enough. It's because they are human. However, it is to be encouraged to go and get your own help. You need your self-care. You need also to rest before you can say you do all this work, which is so draining. Imagine talking to you, Fahad, that time.
With all
listening
my
to you.
supposed problems.
Yes. Listening to you, even when you stand up and walk away for 5 times, you find me seated.
Yeah.
I've not left. And then you're like, but why are you not leaving? Remember you asking me those questions? I said I just needed to give you enough time to calm down. Because you are still pacing up and down, and I would settle until the pacing up and down stopped, and I would be there. So sometimes we are overwhelmed. The work is a lot. The patients are many. Yeah. You need your own therapy. You need your own self-care so that you can give quality care. People are professional, but they need to be people first. Get that care. Get the therapy also, because some cases come up to here.
You can only imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is maybe what is lacking. It's not because people have really lost it. No. They remain human before they can be anything.
Yeah. So therapists, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists all go for therapy.
They are supposed to go.
Do they go?
Some go because I go. I don't know.
No, for you go because
I
you worked. I mean, your method worked because it shows she also went for therapy. Yes. But then there are those individuals who are doing some of our lives. I don't think they go.
Okay, it is the passion again. It is professionalism.
You get, there are some very unprofessional people that are really dealing with people's lives out there. And it is really sad. Me, because hopefully I made it out alive.
Okay.
But it's a very, very... Anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
Since we talked about the pros to therapy, first tell us some of the cons, because they are there.
Okay, therapy is, there is a stigma that comes with when you say, I'm going for counseling. People will say, you mean your problems are too big for you to carry? You want to go and talk to somebody? Tell them your problems. So for me, I find that one to be the major disadvantage that is actually holding us back as a community. Yes, stigma. Sometimes it is not easy for you to even tell people that I need counseling or I have ever thought for counseling because of the stigma. Otherwise, the rest of this, maybe the cons you're looking for, I don't see them. Unless when you go for counseling, you get poison. Maybe that would be, maybe you are not understood and things happen, but maybe also what is your perception of the person you have seen? Probably you don't want to see women and the counselor is a woman. You shut down. Maybe the counselor is a man and this man looks like a man who was your teacher who mistreated you. You see, we have this problem. I am a woman. Someone comes to me looking for and then I happen to almost look like a woman who was not good to them. They will shut down. Or I talk and my voice comes out like that one of their mother who is a very, very authoritarian mom. They're like, you're going to be like my mother. I'm not going to talk to you. So there are so many factors that can actually make therapy not to be effective for you. But all of it depends on, have you been explained to what therapy is about? What will you gain when you go to therapy? So there are, in everything that has advantages, definitely must have disadvantages. Yeah. But the person who went there first time and got help, you can't quickly tell him or her that therapy is bad. Work, yeah. But the one who for whom it didn't work, you really need a lot of time to convince this person that it works. Yeah. So there are so many factors that can make it a good thing, may not make it a less good thing.
So on that note, actually, they say global stats say around 90% of all people that go into treatment don't recover.
90%.
90%.
So it means that we have a 10%.
Actually, that 10% is just because Mbawada allowance.
Okay.
We're supposed to be like 97% of people who go into treatment.
They don't recover.
They do not recover. Because this is a global statistic.
Okay.
From the most developed treatment models to ours here in Butabika and whatever. What do we attribute this to? I mean, it seems like we're losing the war on mental health like gradually.
Okay, I wouldn't say we are losing the war. Because we can't even lose the war we haven't started working on properly. Why should we lose what we haven't started working on properly? Now, when you say 90%, the comfort for me, who is looking at 10 people in every 100 successfully treated, I see it is a good job. I know for you, you will say, what do you mean? Now, mental health, I said, especially induced mental illnesses with addiction is very, very difficult to treat. However, we treat people and people live normal lives, go back to work, become real parents, become very many things. So treatment is something that gives hope. So we may not treat you completely, remove the fact that your brain now registered that for you. Yes, it has to happen. So as long as you do not touch the substance, you are fine. But the moment you point a finger and it is to your lips and to your tongue, you're done. So treatment works. I wouldn't really want to say treatment doesn't work. Because when I come here, like I have worked on you. Don't you think I'm happy to be talking to a person who is worked on?
The lucky few.
Even if you are among the 10. I mean, that is a very big number. Now, if every 10, in the 10, if a 10 brings another one and brings another one, do you see how many people we have? Treatment works. Because when we stand to say that we are losing the war, we haven't started. We can't lose the war, yet we have professionals. We are working hard. We are not ready. Because when you say we are losing the war, it means that we are really going to lose it.
So okay, let's talk about the war on drugs.
The war on drugs is a war that is here as old as humanity.
Yes, it has been. We have found it
we
here.
Found it there and we are going to leave it there. So we are not going to say that we are going to fight and eradicate it. No.
Let's do our part.
We are going to do our part. And you know how we are doing our part? We are sensitizing people. And I think right now this is what we are doing.
Yeah.
When we sensitize people and show them the dangers of what they didn't know. You know, information is power. But then which information? There is a lot of information out there about drugs.
Yeah.
But most of what people may choose to consume is what is appealing to them. And which one? The one which, for me, from my perspective as a therapist, which is negative. For you, Fahad, when you're reading about weed, you want to tell me how it is medicinal, right? You want to tell me how you need it. No, that time.
Uh-huh.
Not now. You told me how it was medicinal. You told me how one needed it to be alive.
Really?
You told me so many things. Yes, you forgot, but I remember.
Forgot. I must have forgotten.
Yeah, thank you for forgetting because that time you were really, really one of those disciples. But then when I asked you, yes, it is medicinal, I haven't said no. What were you suffering from before you started taking medicine? Who takes medicine?
The sick
sick people. Yeah. Where are you sick? No. When you took what happened, I felt sick. So here you are in hospital because you induced your disease. I haven't said it is not medication. But then remember who takes medicine. You must be sick to take medicine. Yeah. But when you take medicine when you're not sick, then you fall sick. And then you want to be treated. With what? With medicine. Remember, you started on medicine. You're supposed to be treated with medicine. So the thing is like this. So many misconceptions about drugs out there. Because while we say that all medicines are drugs, not all drugs are medicine. That's a distinction.
Yes.
Do you understand what I mean? So someone will tell me I'm taking medicine. Who takes medicine? Even if they are prescription medicines. People take medicine to sleep.
Yeah.
Why would you start taking medicine to sleep when God made you with a body that will get tired and sleep and then wake up? Shutting down and waking up is normal without you disturbing. But the moment you start inducing your sleep with medication, time will come when sleep will not come because you have disorganized the settings of the body, if I may use that word. Yeah. So the war on drugs, the war on so many things may never end, but at least we cannot say we are going to chicken out and not talk about it. We're going to tell people how much information do you have and which information do you have. There is a lot of information, but which information do you have?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's really wonderful. Let's do our part and sensitize. Actually, that's the whole purpose of this show.
Yes.
To create enough awareness and noise. I mean, we want the content to rival music.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're still talking about treatment.
All right.
Why is mental health treatment in Uganda especially very expensive? Actually, the world all over.
I don't think it is Uganda.
The world.
I'm glad you're saying it.
Why is mental health
treatment
really expensive? Yeah.
Is what I think maybe it is expensive. It is not treatment that is done in one day. You know, when you're treating malaria, why malaria wouldn't be expensive? The moment they test they test and say you have 1+ or 2+, they will know how much medicine to give you, and the malaria is out of your system. Now, with mental health, especially addiction, when you knock at my door and you tell me you've been abusing things like 4 or 5 things, you know, the cocktail, for 10 years, and then you expect me to treat you in 1 week, are we being realistic? Now, the damage that you get by the time you have a mental health challenge is bigger. That's why when you're treating something that has been enduring for a long time, is not equal to treating something that happened overnight. A simple fever and an addiction cannot be treated at the same level. That's why it becomes expensive. Imagine, even if it was a quick fix, I treat you in a week, then it wouldn't be that expensive. It is complex. Remember, the definition of addiction is it is a chronic, relapsing brain disease. Now, chronic. When we are treating other chronic diseases, are they cheap?
No.
Leaving alone the mental health.
No.
When we are treating other chronic diseases, they don't also become cheap.
No.
Chronic diseases, they include what? There is cancer, there's diabetes, there's hypertension, all those. People who have them are always on treatment, continuously for the rest of their lives. Does it become cheap? So is the mental health diseases. Once you, for example, have any condition diagnosed and maybe known, you're always on medication, making it expensive in the long run. If we say maybe when you go to a hospital and the doctor is asking for consultation fees of so much and medicine is this, you take it, they tell you to come back for review. Normally when you go back for review, you're better. Yeah. But these ones will tell you that every month, pick your medicine. So it becomes expensive because of its complexity. That's what makes it expensive. I don't think it is only in Uganda. It is world over. Because a treatment for life. Yeah. Yeah, it becomes part of your routine, becomes part of your lifestyle. At the end of the day, it becomes expensive. So now maybe how would we make it cheap? For example, for those whose mental illnesses have been induced by substances, I would appeal to them not to start. Have you started? Are you in trouble yet? If you're not yet in trouble, stopping could be the cheapest option. For those who haven't started, not starting whatsoever is the most cheapest option. For the ones who are already struggling, let's have positivity. When you're positive, you treat this thing, you know that I am here to treat. I'm not here to run back and forth. Then you can get the treatment also.
But where we're going, they say 15 years from now, 70% of people who leave high schools globally would have either drunk, smoked, or injected something kind of substance. When you take into account that people who use from the ages of 12 to 15, let's say till 17, are more highly predisposed to future addictions than those who start later on in their life. How are we going to combat this? Like, the reality of the situation is the people who join the league, the band, are more than those leaving.
Yes.
Yeah. So how is this possible? Because I'm looking at 10 years from now, given the current situation, which is appalling. Okay. Very appalling. There are so many functional addicts moving around that are one paycheck away from becoming dysfunctional, one marriage away, one divorce from being dysfunctional, any kind of loss or trauma.
Yes.
Becoming dysfunctional. How are we going to provide resources to these marginalized people to actually enable them better their mental health?
Okay. So we started from saying 15 years from now, we shall have so many people.
70%.
70%
of the population
in trouble. So what we are doing, what me and you are doing right now, is to try and reduce the 70%. What I believe can be the most effective method is, first of all, information, and not all information, but the right information. sensitizing the community. You see, Uganda has the youngest population. We really have a bigger percentage of the population. That is, maybe that's why they are looking at 15 years from now having a 70%, because now our percentage of youth is 70%. So someone is looking at that,
The projection.
at the projection, and is like, now that we have these people who are idle, who are trying with everything, it means that in 15 years we shall actually be overwhelmed. But we can change the status quo. When we say that we prevent, because prevention is also effective. Remember, these people, out of their curiosity in learning things, it is also, this is a group of people who are also a lot on the social media. I think you believe me.
Yes.
But what are you putting there? To try and scare them or to try and entice them into joining you? And you even said that the people who are leaving are not equal to the ones who are joining. That is the irony. You see, the ones who are stopping have seen the disadvantages. The ones who are joining do not even know the disadvantages. So what we can do, the ones who are in and stuck, what I would urge them is, can we join the group of informing people about the danger? And where do we find them? They are in schools, they are in communities. Yes, they haven't gone to school for a long time. But then in every community, there's a church. In every community, there's a mosque. In every community, there's something that can talk about it. If we maybe, like how AIDS became an issue in Uganda, we need to have the same energy,
The same
in
approach.
talking about it without fear or favor about the danger to the young, even to the old, because you say there are very many functional addicts. But then their being functional does not stop their bodies from getting trouble. How many people have liver disease? How many people have heart disease because of what they have done? How many people have kidney failure things? There is a lot going on. So it's not only the young, it affects everyone who uses and abuses. It's not actually using that it is you do use, but you can't abuse by not starting from use. You use and then you abuse.
Yeah.
So the young and the old alike, if they can get the right information, I think we can reduce that percentage, because it is so scary. 15 years is not very far away from now.
I mean, because at that time we'll have
Yeah.
our own children walking on this
Yes, your
So-
children will be part.
path. Having a small version of me,
Yes.
trying to do the things I did.
Oh God. Okay, I love that. So what are you going to do to make
Because
sure?
now I'm the honest is when I'm like, we can't go on like this.
Okay.
Does money kill in mental health?
Money
On a side note.
kills.
Having money.
Okay, having money when you're a normal person when
Is okay.
is okay. But definitely, even when you are struggling with addiction, you may not have money. Maybe those who have their chances of having to be born in a lot of money, and you have money that has no accountability, having it becomes an enabling reality to you that you'll use without explanation. Because like when you're using the very expensive drugs, there are those drugs you can only use when you when you have a lot of money. You know the drugs.
When you have access.
When
there are people who take you there, you may not have the money, but
But when they take you there and you cannot sustain the trade, you know what happens.
yeah, the theft,
The theft.
trying to.
Criminality becomes a reality for you because you have been hooked and you cannot live your life without these substances. So you become a criminal to finance the habit.
What is the government standpoint on this? Like, do we have a clearly defined policy to deal
There are
with
many
addiction and
policies.
mental health? I'm saying one that, are you seeing how you talked about AIDS and the campaign? We never hear of mental health in any positive light apart from the stigma it gets.
I think the government is not sleeping, although I'm not working for the government and I may not know much, but what I know, the policies are there. The tobacco control policy, there are so many things. You know, you are not allowed to smoke in public. Did you know that? You're not allowed to even sell tobacco to young people. There are so many things which are out there. Things have been written. Campaigns, you know, when you make a campaign, for very many people to see, you have to be on the road every day, telling people the same thing again and again and again. Policies are there. Maybe what needs to be done is just to put in some more power to say it as it is. There is like 31st, May is World No Tobacco Day. Do you know that one? Then there is another day when it is a day for illicit drug and trade and all those things. There are so many days put across for us to safeguard the community, the society in which we live. But then when it is only one day and we say something about it and then we keep quiet, people who hear the more information, they keep it to themselves. So we need to get to this level of being so uncomfortable with what is around us, looking at the 15 years which are not very far away from now. And you imagine that you'll have no place to put people who need help. Then if we started making the right noise of saying, people, we can do without this, we can live this. But then as we even tell people to stop, we must have alternatives. Now the people are saying.
Yeah, because are you seeing how we're saying stop drinking?
Yes.
Like red card, all those campaigns. I mean, we see these big brands trying to, their corporate social responsibility.
Yes.
But these are people who, there's one company that graduated, I think, from 700 milliliters or something to around 14 million.
Yes.
14 million? Who? The alcoholism in the country, first of all, is appalling.
Yes.
It's alarming. And so many people are benefiting financially from this. How will it ever change? Will it come with a change of the government, or we need to adopt Sharia law?
Of course, those are both extremes that you are bringing here. For me, what I'm thinking is I like the companies taking the corporate social responsibility of educating people that, see, we are selling this thing, but it's dangerous. But then when we put a writing on drink responsibly, it's not for people under the age of 18. It's like as if it stops at it's being written.
Yeah.
People are not reading. So they have corporate social responsibility, they are doing it, and now it is up to you. It's up to me. It's up to everyone. All of us, remember, you are government in yourself. We all make a government.
To each their own.
Yes. What are you supposed to do? Give the information that is right.
Yeah.
When you tell me that they from 7 to 14, something like that, what you have said is double. When did it happen? Maybe during lockdown. What happened? When people were locked, they were idle enough to continue drinking. Is it going to stop now that the lockdown is not as much as it were? If we went back to the statistics, has it reduced?
No.
Now, if it hasn't reduced, it means that the people who join find it hard to get off. Now that they're even busy, they may continue joining in.
Yeah.
So when a company comes out, even after making the monies, and they're like, oh my God, this increment is scary. Remember, these people are people. They have children. They have everyone. Remember, we are interconnected. While you're selling something that is destroying your children or mine, I mean, in a way, there is a way it rubs off yourself.
Yeah.
So it's not about, it's changing of attitude. Change of attitude is what is more important than even changing of so many things. Now, what is your role as a human being, as an understanding person? When your attitude is, maybe I was drinking 5, I'm going to start reducing them because this is not good for my health, physical health, not good for my mental health. If people have that information, and maybe that's the only way you can reduce. But to say that we change that and change the other one, those ones I'm saying, you're just trying to be extreme for nothing. People remain being people. And people will always do what they want to do whenever they want to do it. But if people choose to change their attitude towards something, you see how they change and things happen. Yeah.
So, okay, piggybacking back onto the treatment models that are most in these institutions. I think deep down, we really know that, especially now people dealing with addiction, they never fully recover. Mm-hmm. But remember, this is a dysfunctional person that has walked into your place.
Yes.
So the goal, I think, is to, your goal, as you actually said it, just to improve their lifestyle, their quality of living. So the goal is to get them to a functional user, then hopefully a recreational user.
Not really.
To completely...
Our goal is to heal somebody.
Holistically.
Holistically, it's not to get them to harm reduce.
And which is now the reality of the situation. Since we are talking about the reality of the situation, this 97% of the people that walk through your doors, and they cannot get what? Because, I mean, they're already so scared.
Okay.
The fear of loss, the fear of, this woman doesn't want me to drink my pint tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, no. I mean, let me at least drink a pint. Because this is a person who has been drinking a carton.
Yes.
Has been squeezing 12 liters of water every day. And you're telling them to come from 12 to 0. How?
Sounds unrealistic.
It sounds
right?
to most people actually, because even me when I'm trying to carry the message and my people are sipping or touching. I mean, now you tell the person something and even you're like, but really? Am I being realistic?
Yeah. So for us, our goal is to stop people from dying. Okay,
From
you
dying.
see, we are looking further than you who is thinking using is just mere use. For us, we are looking at a life recovered. And recovering you includes us, helping you to get to a level of stopping to take. Remember, you have established a very wonderful relationship with this substance. It is an immediate gratification thing. So that relationship is so dysfunctional, but yet so nice. Immediately you take, you relax. But tomorrow you need much more than what you took yesterday. So it stopped. Someone made me laugh recently when he said, things stopped hugging me. You no longer get the same hug from the 5 pints, as you call them. So I cannot get to treat you and tell you that I want you to reduce to 1 because it is not possible. Because you see, the brain does not operate on half tank. Do you believe me? The brain was made to function without you putting in fuel. But the moment you start fueling it with anything, it doesn't operate on half tank. So that's why for us, our model is not to say that now let's help you to reduce and you start putting in, what they put like 5,000 in a car that is supposed to take 1 million shillings. That doesn't work. The car won't start. The car won't move. So your brain, because it was made to not be allowed, to be helped to function with the fuel of the marijuana, or the tobacco, alcohol, and anything, name them. We cannot tell you that now we are here to help you reduce your tank. You see, the mechanics can maybe have that thing of helping you to reduce your tank to take less fuel. I don't know what they do. But in mental health, you do not have that capacity to say that let's reduce for you, Fahad. You've been taking 5? Okay, let's make them 2.
Though it's a strategy.
It is a strategy
The
for
weaning
harm.
off?
Yeah, the weaning off.
The harm reduction.
It actually happens, harm reduction. How damaged is your body? Normally, some people who come when the damage is beyond repair can be helped to harm reduce by saying, okay, we're going to help you. We shall give you this to help you stay surviving, not to die. But for you who comes after having used for 2 years, you want me to tell you that you cannot stop this thing and live a happy life? Others have done it. So when we become pessimists in our own journey, in our own treatment, then we are not helping. People have stopped completely. Have you met them?
Yeah.
So how did they do it? They did not do it because they thought they would, but they believed in themselves in stopping.
Yeah.
Now, let me show you how it is your responsibility to stop or even continue. Who buys for you?
I buy for myself.
Who uses for you to get high?
I use for
So there is no one almost who helps you to stay away. Like if the work was maybe 100% work to be done in this journey of stopping or recovering, my work I can say my work is 2% because it is you normally, it is a thought. Remember, it all begins in your head. When you think about it, you feel you need it, and then you go for it. Now, there's a thinking that is you drawing the thoughts. Then you have the feeling of, oh my God, I know how I will feel when I take. And then the action is you walking to the shop or going to the ghetto and getting the thing. Now, assuming you thought about it and you disrupted the thought and you did not go to the ghetto, would you use? So we know there are people who are at a level that you can actually help. When you think about it, how do you feel? That's why when you go to rehab, you are helped to first of all detox. Then time to eat, time to rest, time to reflect, time to become a person again.
It's like a spa vacation, only that.
It is a spa vacation.
Not really.
For
Have you been to rehab? Confidence?
It's you who is saying, and I wanted you to help me understand what it means to be in a spa vacation.
No, it's not like a spa, but I mean for the
Yeah.
first 2 weeks you wake up, they're detoxing you, you're eating, you're sleeping, you're just observing.
Okay.
Though it's expensive, though in that moment you don't really know what's going on.
Okay.
I don't think this is information that is relevant for these people.
For these people.
Yeah. So 21st century addict. Okay, since you said that is not how the treatment model is. Okay. that is how you'd want
Okay, there
it
are
to be.
different
That is how
models.
you'd want it to
Yeah.
be, but that is not how it is ideally. Because there are so many people out there that's suffering with addiction that will never make it through your walls.
Yes.
Because first of all, it's costly. I don't know
Yeah.
what they call cost when it comes to your health.
Aha, that's what I wanted. Thank you for saying it.
Yeah.
How much can someone pay for you?
You get cause one. Me, the money, yes, it was not little, but I mean, it was worth it.
Okay.
It was worth it.
Thank you.
So for all those people that don't have to become dysfunctional like Fahad, who has to be brought in by police, how do they have? Because once they listen to the person who goes to treatment,
Yes.
they're like, bagenda nnyo, bakisussa. Because it is that sense of I still have control over my addiction. Because they have not yet been arrested, they have not yet been institutionalized. No one has actually ever told them that you have a problem. But deep down they know, because addiction, the pitfalls. How do we get this message to this person? Because if you want them to stop, for them first of all, they don't even know they have a problem.
Yes.
So you telling them to stop is, first of all, they have to, the inventory process.
Yes.
It's like telling them you have a problem, but they are looking around to who you're talking to.
Yeah.
So how do we get this message across to them? That is where my winning off came in of you have been drinking your 5 pints. I mean, never no one can do, two can do. Harm reduction, even for those that are not yet dying.
Okay. I love the way you're saying that there are very many people who don't actually think it is a problem. Now, how do you know that where you have, your use has actually become abuse? Because there's a thin line between using and abusing.
Yeah.
And some people may never use. They can actually start by abusing immediately, depending on what it is. So now, a thin line, since it is a thin line, the moment you lose control, the moment you cannot sleep or wake up without this, when you live to use and use to live, when it becomes synonymous with you, when we mention something and you, it's like we have made repetition. You cannot close your eyes, or when you open your eyes, it is the first thing you touch. You know you have something next to your bed, and remember before you went to sleep, that's what you did. Before you go to work, before you do anything, that is what you need. Then you have lost control. But there is somebody who does not have to lose control to that level. However, for him or her, when it is the weekend, they will go home after the weekend is over, after they have drunk all the money. Then that is also someone who has
Lost control.
So when you have money in your pocket and you cannot think of anything else but the substance, then you have also lost control. So there are different levels, but the most cardinal thing is there is loss of control. You're dependent on this thing. If the dependency is to maybe cigarettes, remember you wake up at 3 a.m. to smoke, and when that cigarette is not there, tomorrow you'll be like you're not yourself. Then you have lost control. I know people will say that for me a cigarette is okay. Cigarettes are harmless. Who told you? Anything that goes in your body and when you can't take it, you feel bad, you're uncomfortable, your heart is racing.
May it be chocolate, may it be
social media, anything that when you haven't done it, your life is not yours. Then that is also something that you're addicted to.
Yeah.
So addiction is to different levels. But remember, it normally progresses instead of regressing. It can only get worse before it gets better. There is a group of people that are lucky. They can wake up and stop. But that is a very, very small percentage. Depending on how far they had reached, what they were using, and their circumstances.
And when they started using. Because now, let's take me for one. Let's, hypothetically speaking, let's use another person. Let's not use me.
Okay.
Let's take these individuals who start using, let's say in P7, P3, P what, whichever. This is a child below the age of 12 years old.
Yeah.
And they're now taking in substances. Remember, you have not yet developed.
Yes.
Now I just look back and I do an inventory and I'm like, but they tell you you're going through adolescence. They teach you about adolescence, but it never really registers till after you have left adolescence.
Yeah.
So Kati, with that effort of adolescence, coupled with you already came, as your friends are studying and playing in soil, for you're smoking cigarettes and smoking marijuana and stealing alcohol from cabinets. So by the time you clock 20 and you have, like, let's say, 12 years of usage experience, how do you unlearn these behaviors?
Okay. Thank you for that. You have your 12 years experience.
12, 15, whatever.
15
But
years
the years
experience.
you have spent using
Yes.
and the years you have spent sober, when you eliminate the years you have spent using, you're still now a young boy.
You're still a
You
young
get?
boy.
So remember, everything you learned, you were not okay. So how do you learn to become okay?
Yeah, unlearning. Okay.
Unlearning.
And because behavior is learned and therefore can be unlearned.
Yeah.
But of course, you can't just unlearn without effort. Even as you learned effortlessly, unlearning takes a lot of effort because it's like going backwards. For example, when you're you're a good runner, like these guys who win whatever. If you told them to run backwards, the same speed without looking there, they would lose immediately. So this is it. When you are learning to smoke, to drink, it was effortlessly. One day, another day, another day, another year, another year. So when you're unlearning what you learned over the years, the effort to unlearn is more than learning. Because remember, when you're learning, you didn't see trouble. Now you see trouble and you want to run away from trouble. So you need to change the whole energy that you didn't know you put in to try and move backwards. So it takes a lot of you, a lot of your time, changing of so many things. Your structure changes, your lifestyle changes, your priorities change, and you're only focused on learning and learning something you learned effortlessly. So why many people fail, it is the amount of effort you are supposed to put in to unlearn what you learned when you loved it. Remember, you fall in love, and it is so nice.
Bondage.
The bond
Bondage.
is too strong that the only thing that matters is what you have. So when someone is telling it is time to divorce, even separation for those 3 months of rehab are so hard. So someone is saying, never go back to this direction. So it becomes like someone being extremely unrealistic. But people have done it. However, those people, what they have, maybe what they have and others don't have, is the commitment. Now, there are 5 things. You may have the desire to want to change. You actually have the ability because you've changed before. You actually have the reasons for changing because I want to do this, I want to do that. And maybe it is urgent because you can't get married, maybe you can't get a job, maybe things can't happen. But
You need to go to China.
you have all the 3 things, all those 4 things together, and you're looking at them and they are right nice.
Yeah.
But when you lack the commitment to make it happen, you can't. So what do people have who make it? They are so committed to walking backwards without being disrupted by anyone. I know you are many. Remember the many people you met. How many people are still walking backwards? People try for a month,
Yeah,
for
they
2,
try.
for 3, and they give up walking backwards. It is easy to walk where you see. But the ones who have insisted and said, I think I want to go back. I have forgotten who I was. I want to go back to that man. I want to go back to be that son I was, that uncle, that father. They have worked so hard. It's not easy, but it's a journey that you walk alone. We call it the journey of the selfish. You will not walk with your friends.
Yeah.
Maybe the new ones you meet as you walk backwards.
The sober ones. The
Yes,
ones we want
the ones
now.
who are walking with you.
Yeah.
Remember, their lifestyle is not the one you had. So you see, a holistic change to you cannot be embraced by everybody. But the ones who have tried and taken the risk have actually made it. It's not easy. They have told you, you have interacted with the recovery coaches. They have told you what they have done. And that is it. So since you can learn something, you can unlearn it. But the effort to unlearn is more than the effort to learn. That is what I've seen as I interact with people.
So it goes down also to the simple basis of you can't help someone who doesn't want your help. Yeah. That I learned the hard way. You know, when you try to carry the message to so and so, I mean, some people don't really want you for the right reasons. You know, because now they remember Fahad is crazy. He can be crazy. Now, especially this happens with the female, the opposite sex.
Okay.
For them, they want the other version.
Yeah.
The other one, the bad boy version. And I'm like, yo, you guys, what's up? What's not happening? But I think that comes from not knowing your boundaries. Okay, from you, the person who was the problem, and now that I know I'm in recovery, you see the red flags. no offense, even the outfit can show you the red flags. You're like, no,
Okay.
that one I'm not really. Even the boys, because these are people you have grown up with. Because you being sober doesn't mean the world around you are sobered up as well. And that is where society comes in. That initial setting, that there are people who, because I think family has a role to play
A
lot. And what happens if that family setting was one of the reasons as to why you went down that path? Then this person is leaving treatment and going back to that setting. Because usually that is how it is. You leave treatment, you're pumped up, most people don't make 12 hours. I mean, they relapse that day.
Yes.
So how is it? How are we going to combat? Where did we go wrong as society? The generational gap from the grandparents. Let's even bring the grandparents into this equation. Because the grandparents are one of the reasons as well in this predicament. The grandparents produced, I won't call them hopeless individuals.
Don't
No, but the grandparents ended up producing parents that also gave birth to children. But now that I've grown older is when you realize that, okay, yes, people's parents are also other. They're just individuals.
Yes.
You're just you with a child. So you are there, you're drinking, and the person has a child, and you're drinking with them, and they're hopelessly drinking. And you're like, but how are you going to raise your child? And how were they raised? Because I have friends that openly tell me, you know what, I regret the way I was raised. These are Westerners, Westerners and their appetite for alcohol. They're like, 8 years old, I was drinking beer with my father.
Okay.
How would you tell this person who the culture is even ingrained? Then he starts telling you, I even read the Bible and Jesus specifically turned water into wine. Chiche, what message can you carry for such a person?
Yeah.
So I want you to address Western civilization, influence of the West, and our African society degradation as well. Kazungu kanjova.
I hear you.
Yeah. So the West, I gave you the example of the Bible, which was written by a man to tell them Jesus turned water into wine. I don't know if that was a form of capitalism, because they knew they needed to make money from alcoholics. But I think there are those justifiable reasons, unjustifiable reasons people give that to them make sense. So where have we gone wrong in regards to society, and what role has the West had to play in our detriment?
Okay, there are so many things you've said. You started from sometimes people want the wrong person. I don't want to run away from before explaining that one. They're always looking for the terrible boy.
The bad boy. Yeah,
okay, the bad boy. Yeah, I'm trying to look for anything positive in it. You see, there is no accountability when you are with the wrong people. No one is going to stop you when you know they are like you. You know, birds of the feather. They flock together. And when your feathers have been plucked off and they are not the same, they don't really want you because you're not going to pray dirty.
Actually, they think they are like you, but they don't know you are much worse. When if you play their game, you'll be much worse. But they run away from us.
Okay. But you learned from that. You
boundaries.
know where to go.
Yeah.
So remember what I said. What are you committed to doing? Going back to them or for forming a new team? Forming a new team may seem difficult, but when you're patient enough, you'll form a new team. Because the old team is not supposed to look for you for the good new things. We know you for the old you. Do not start putting on us the new you when we know the old you, and that's what was fun to be with. I wouldn't blame them because there's a complete lack of accountability when we are all messed up. But when all of us get drunk and for you remain awake, do you know what you're going to tell us tomorrow? You're going to be telling us what we did and that's what we don't want. Can you be with friends who are sober and you're just there, who are drinking, and for you, all you want to do is stay sober so that you become their driver, designated driver, but who is going to say tomorrow what people did? So sometimes they don't want you because they can always get an Uber. And Uber will not judge them, doesn't know them that much. That is one reason. And another thing you said, society or what is the role of the family? The role of the family in treatment is very, 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 very important because you need support, and then support. So what do I mean? When you come to treatment many times, your people are so tired, are so worn out because of the behavior.
Yeah.
And now they have invested not only money,
Time.
they have invested too much time.
Emotions.
Their emotions are exhausted. So they somehow, when you're away from home and you're in treatment, they are sleeping. Now they dread the day
You're coming back.
this guy comes back. Sometimes they just want to remind you that, don't you know we have paid a lot of money for you? Don't you know this? Don't you know that? Sometimes I don't blame them because they do not understand that you're dealing with a very complex, remember, complex, chronic, relapsing disease. So sometimes what we normally do with the family is we tell them that you're going to love this person unconditionally, and that is almost too much to ask. Remember, you have disturbed them.
It's impossible, actually.
Yes.
There's nothing like unconditional love, because even a mother can't love their child
They
unconditionally.
do. Mothers
You
love.
are a mother, but
Yes. And
no, more confidence. Now, let me tell you.
now let me tell you.
You're the mother. Okay.
Unconditionally, what do I mean
Yeah.
here? I'm saying we know you were in trouble, but now we believe you have a disease and they have explained to us. So we are supposed to walk with you this very slow journey of walking backwards by being patient. That is the support I'm talking about. By being understanding. However, you will have to be accountable. You have to be open and help us to help you. But what do you normally want to do? We need to get out of your life. So the moment you cut us out, then we become defensive. Remember, we don't trust you. You have broken our trust. And now we are so mad at you. So when we are trying to say we need support, there is need to first cancel these people. They have also suffered. Do you know how much trauma you put to them? A lot. Because of the love they have for you. So when we say, please also stand and support this man. We have cleaned him, but he's just as vulnerable as a baby. You know, a newborn baby, if you got a newborn baby and threw them on the road to start walking, how would they do it? So it is sometimes overwhelming for them to accept that you can go, take all that time, you have emotionally drained them, and then you come back and tell them that you can smoke again. So support is very crucial. For people who have that support that is there, and it is not moving, they make it quickly. Because we say come for aftercare. We say do this. We say do this. Don't give him money. Don't do this one. So there is a lot of do's and don'ts, and then a lot of accountability from your side. But then you are the one with the responsibility to help to make it possible by being open. And that is what is normally so hard. Remember, addicts are manipulative.
Very.
That is the cardinal characteristic. They really want to manipulate, they want to lie, they want to do everything. So, and it's as if when you don't lie, life doesn't become the same. So, learning to not lie, to not manipulate.
But I think that's okay. Manipulative, yes.
Yes.
Lying, no.
Some
lie, because some even end up in criminality.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
do each their own.
Each because of who you are, because of your personality, and also because of what you're using. It depends on what it is you're using. So I am still coming to answer your questions. There were so many in one class.
To make it better, so that you can talk.
Yeah. So then you said that I just want to blame the grandparents who have their parents, and the parents are our parents, and now they are doing things. And then you talked about these ones who drink, who have an appetite, and then you see them and you're like, but you're a father. What are you still doing here? Someone says, but I drank with my father. What is wrong with that? Now, that one becomes a very challenging double standard. What do I mean? You're not going to tell me not to do what you're doing. Remember, it is normally do as I say, but not what as I do. But that is only...
But that is for teachers.
No, even for parents. For parents. That's why I do not expect my son to drink the alcohol I have in the fridge at home.
Because you bought it for yourself.
Yes. He hasn't earned it. But of course, that is a double standard. Because the child will definitely drink the beer.
Yeah.
And they will even drink it more than you. And actually, normally, when we are asking you, where did you learn? Remember in that, when we get that session,
point that one
of
where did you get this?
Someone says, but counselor, stop wasting your time. I learned from home. I did not go to the ghetto. Those people went to the ghetto. Me, I've never been to the ghetto. I learned from home. Is that a problem? Now, do you want to tell them it is a problem? Yes, it is a problem because you're in the hospital. Yeah, you're now here because it is a problem. So as a parent, maybe you said you do not want to one day wake up and your son has an appetite of what you had. So what are you going to do? You're going to walk the talk. You're not going to...
There's no other option. Actually.
There's no option. Yeah. You're not going to tell them what to do. What you're going to do, you will do what you want them to do. It is easy for children. For them, they copy and paste. By the way, they are copying and pasting is super. It is thorough. Tell them don't do this, and you do it. They'll do it better than you. But then don't do. Some may not. Okay, although some parents may not drink, but their sons can drink, that one is something you can't rule out because every child is an individual. You have 5 children and one of them drinks, the whole family, no one has ever touched alcohol. Okay, like the Muslim fraternity. Some people, and even the law, your religion does not allow. But people still cross the line.
Yeah,
and yet
because
they practice.
They're humans.
Yes.
Yeah,
So this is what I'm saying.
Beings.
But as a parent, although it may not be 100% that what you don't do, children will not do, but at least you'll have done your part. Yeah. You don't want them to smoke, please don't bring it at home. Children learn in the ashtray at home.
The formative years.
Yes, the formative years. They will do what you do. They pray what daddy does, what mommy does, what uncle does, anyone who is older, what teacher does, what teacher says. With children, for them, some things are really gospel truth. My father believes in this one. And you want to grow up to be like your father. You don't want to be like anyone else's father. Yeah. So what you model is what you most likely will get. Yeah. Although sometimes some children can choose their path, but many times they will do what you do. Yeah. So we can't
Jesus
blame.
turned water into wine.
Jesus turned water into wine. I normally tell people that he turned water into wine.
On a wedding.
On a function. It was a wedding,
It
right?
was a party, so they had to first plan for it. They just didn't drink foie.
Yes.
They
And do
made
you know
research.
who was there? Who was at the party?
Who were the guests, actually?
The guests, who were they? Have you ever thought about who were the guests? The guests could have been the big people. By the time Jesus takes to really do
By
that.
the time he comes to actually mash them
to
up.
show them that this can also be done. There were no children at the party. It was not even a school trip.
And but remember,
Yes.
addiction is not only for children.
So now when you want to say that
Yeah.
Jesus turned water into wine,
Not those points,
and then
those
when
excuses.
he did it, what did he say afterwards? Did he say you serve all the children and all those ones passing on the road, or it was meant for the guests? Seriously, even for people who drink alcohol, they say for people above the age. If we stopped underage drinking, then we wouldn't have a lot of trouble later in life.
That is very true,
Yeah.
actually. 'Cause
If underage drinking, like what Bill is normally advocating for, if that stopped, we wouldn't have more troubles. Maybe people would be able to regulate, people would be able to be in charge of themselves. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. But when you start at 8,
the vices that are picked up when
your
you're young.
brain is so young, so developing, so messed up. So the Jesus thing comes up, especially when you're talking to students. They say, but madam, you're telling us not to drink. But Jesus turned water into wine. I said, where did he do it? Is it in a class? There were no children at the party.
It was a wedding. So that basically,
It was a wedding. And who is supposed to, wild children can attend a wedding, but who serves children alcohol
So
anywhere?
gist of what I've gotten out of that story is we actually need to work on our youthful population.
Yes.
So much. The campaigns in schools and all that. I believe my dream hopefully is one day to incorporate mental health in primary education.
Yes.
I mean, let them come up and just like they learn about malaria and whatnot. I mean, if they have had prior information about it, they can probably diagnose themselves or other people.
Okay.
Yeah, so confidence. I want to keep this as brief as possible so that people have the data to watch this as well. But thank you so much for coming. Do you have any closing remarks?
Okay, the closing remarks will be to thank you so much for remembering me after so many years and calling me to come and talk to you. And to maybe thank our viewers, especially those who have the passion for mental health, and to encourage them to let's talk about it. Let's not fear the stigma, because the more we stigmatize this thing, the more or the bigger the trouble becomes. I know there is a solution to any problem. A problem shared is halfway solved. Yeah. For all those who come out to talk about a challenge, they are winners. You're not a coward when you talk about a problem. You actually die alone. Purpose not to die in your own movie. Dying in your own movie is keeping quiet when you're breaking down, when you're drinking, when you're smoking, whatever it is you're taking. Then to encourage the ones who are struggling, please seek for help because it is available. For the ones who are almost about to struggle, please stop. If you can't stop on your own, help is available. For the ones who haven't started, please don't touch. And I want to say that while Fahad kept saying that it's expensive, Butabika is there. Treatment is free. Yes, it is free.
We'll actually come back and have a panel. That one I want.
We need to.
I need a panelist to talk about Butabika.
Yes.
And
it's
break down.
Very, the cleanest facility we have in Uganda. Did you know that?
I've been there.
Yes.
Not Chireka word though.
Leave Chireka, it is also fine.
No, but Chireka is okay. But
yes.
We'll have to break down the stigma and as well address where they have gone wrong.
Yes.
But I mean, they're really trying, given.
Yeah, they are doing a good job.
Yeah.
I want to call it a good job because when people go not knowing who they are and they come out when they know themselves and they are organized, then it is work. Like I've said, the head is a body part, but which is so complicated. Have you heard of so many things, but the brain transplant, is it there?
No.
So that is one thing that one shouldn't mess up. That's why I'm encouraging the young and even the old to openly talk about this.
Yeah.
Seek for information and give the information. But it should be the right information, facts. So for the young people, know the facts and stay away from drugs.
Yeah.
That is it. Thank you.
All right. So I would like to end this session officially, but very soon we'll be having Confidence back with us. You will see her along the way because, she saved my life. And we have to keep on sharing this information with you. Otherwise, thank you. Like, subscribe. You can even drop a comment, some reviews. Thank you very much.